Hello everybody, MightyNifty here, and today we are going to be making pulled pork shoulder. This recipe is inspired by my recent review of ICO for the PS2 because, well... Anyway, this recipe is warm, homey, and oh so luxurious. It takes minimal effort but does require a long time to cook, so let's get this thing started. So we're gonna start off by making a spice mix for our pork. Just add all of the ingredients into a small bowl as follows. Half a teaspoon of cayenne, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of mustard powder, a tiny pinch of cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of cumin, 2 teaspoons of paprika, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of black pepper, and 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. Now just mix this all up until it's evenly distributed. Then you want to give it a taste. I think mine needed some more brown sugar, so I added another teaspoon, but you make it how you like it. Just remember that you're tasting the raw spice blend, which will become more mild after cooking, so it's going to be really strong. This is why, as you may have noticed, I didn't take a ton of care when measuring out my spices, because I'm going to adjust later, and you should do the same at home. It allows you to express yourself via your spices, and it's one of the best things about cooking. Once the spice blend is ready, we can add a 5-pound pork shoulder or pork butt to our roasting tray lined with aluminum foil. Not only is this the best cut of pork to use for this recipe, but it's usually pretty cheap in the supermarkets nowadays. Now we'll get our hands dirty and coat the pork with half of our spices, saving the other half for later. We'll also add on a touch of honey and then rub this baby until it's completely coated. Once our pork has been completely coated, we'll just cover it up and throw it in the fridge for at least 1 hour or as long as a day to let the spices and the flavors seep in. Once that's done, we're going to uncover the pork and pop it into the oven preheated to 450 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes just to brown it up on the outside a little bit. Once that's done, it should have a nice caramelized outside just like this. And you want to add in a cup of water and a squeeze of tomato paste. Mix it up a bit, close it up completely, turn your oven down to 300 degrees Fahrenheit, and cook for 2 to 3 hours, and it should come out looking like this. Now our pork is ready to be pulled, so just grab a couple of forks and tear into that baby until it's completely shredded. If you're having a tough time pulling your pork apart, it's probably undercooked, so just cover it back up and throw it back in the oven for another 30 minutes or so. Otherwise, when the pork's done being pulled, you want to strain all of its juices into a bowl or a pot so we can make a sauce out of them. Next, take the still warm pulled pork, put it back into a bowl, and add the rest of the spice mix and get that evenly distributed inside. This step actually helps us in 2 ways. First, it allows us to add spices that haven't been toasted, making the flavor more complex, and second, we're seasoning the inside of the pork that wasn't exposed to the spices when applying the rub to the outside. Now for the sauce. In a small pot on medium heat, we have our juices from the pork, to which we can add a bit more honey, some barbecue sauce, and some yellow mustard. We'll whisk that up and then reduce it for about 5 to 10 minutes or until it reaches your desired consistency. Then we'll pour it over our pork and it is done. Delicious pulled pork to be served how you want it. I personally added some red beans and served mine over rice, but this would also be great in a sandwich with some pickles or coleslaw. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I hope you give it a try at home. Ingredient list is in the description box down below. Be sure to subscribe for more game reviews and nifty recipes. And as always, have a mighty nifty day today.